Jayden Daniels got a new weapon out wide. Can the versatile playmaker Deebo Samuel elevate the Rookie of the Year to an even higher level? And we kick off our offseason series of Deep Dive by Adam Schefter with a closer look at the Vikings' decision to move on from Sam Darnold to young J.J. McCarthy. Welcome into our studios alongside Mina Kimes, Andrew Hawkins, Dan Graziano. I'm Phil Murphy, and guys, offseason business mostly wrapped, most of it, not all. Some stars in search of beefed up contracts. Others might be headed toward greener pastures, like cornerback Jalen Ramsey. Adam Schefter told Pat McAfee last week a Ramsey trade away from Miami is more a question of when rather than if. Three-time first-team All-Pro was absent from mandatory minicamp last week. GM Chris Greer, he's been open about intentions to trade Ramsey since April. That despite a somewhat thin cornerback room in Miami. And it's hard to find a more dependable defender than Ramsey in recent years. Since he entered the NFL in 2016, Ramsey has the second highest percentage of his team's pass breakups. That's among more than 200 defenders to play 10 games. The only guy ahead of him just won a Super Bowl in Darius Slay. Slade changed teams in the offseason, moving across the state to Pittsburgh. Wide receiver Tyreek Hill made it clear Saturday at Fanatics Fest in New York. He wants Ramsey to stay put. Quote, "I'm going to get him back, full court press. I'm getting him back in a Dolphins jersey. I don't care what they say. It's tampering, whatever. We need Ramsey. He's a dog. One of the best quarterbacks in the league, man. Great leader, great teammate too, though. That's what he doesn't get a lot of credit for. We just need him on the Dolphins, man." Mina, what do you think the Dolphins should do with the 7-time Pro Bowler Jalen Ramsey?
Well, first I'll say I don't think it's tampering if he's still on your team.
Correct.
So Tyreek Hill is free to try to convince him to stay. And I could see why. And there's the litany of reasons for it. One of which is I don't think they're going to get a lot in return for trading him at this point. The other is his absence would leave a real void in the back end of this defense. I like this Dolphins front in Michigan. I think he's stout against the run and also has pass rush upside. Jalen Phillips is coming back. Chuck Robinson was excellent last year. But behind it, that's where I start to get worried about this defense. Because if you take out Jalen Ramsey, this to me is one of the worst secondaries in the NFL. I understand he isn't the Jalen Ramsey of a few years ago, but trust me, he is still much needed on this defense because of the talent or lack thereof around him.
Yeah, they would have to figure out who to replace him with. They are not deep at that position, and that is one of the issues that the Dolphins are confronting here. But everybody I talk to still seems to believe that Jalen Ramsey will get traded, that he and the Dolphins have arrived at a point where they're not going to be able to move on together, that something significant would have to change in order for him to be on the Dolphins this year. So the June 1st date came and went. Obviously, after June 1st, now they have a less of a salary cap impact if they trade him. The acquiring team would still need to take on $20 million in salary for this year, so that's something that they have to work out, as well as what they would be getting in return. But it still sounds most likely that he ends up getting traded. The Rams have been mentioned as a landing spot, one of his former teams. The Chargers, a lot of the West Coast teams that he supposedly would prefer to play for. Baltimore was brought up, but they signed Jair Alexander last week, so maybe that takes them out of it. Everything I'm being told still indicates that the plan is to trade him.
Hawk, let's talk about the guy who made the case to keep Ramsey, Tyreek Hill. 2 years ago, we were talking maybe 2,000 yards for him in a single season. Last year, I know Tua only played 11 games, but Hill didn't make it to 1,000. What is your confidence level that Hill can get back to that dominant form?
I'm still pretty confident in Tyreek. I think Tyreek has a very rare skill set. And actually, I know it was a funny video everybody saw last week where he ran the 100-meter dash, and he went 10.15. Now, for me, that showed significance for a lot of reasons. Tyreek Hill is getting up there in age. We all understand what happens to receivers as they get older and throughout their career. The thing that goes first is your top-line speed. So by watching that video, it tells me that has been a point of emphasis for Tyreek. That wasn't a time or even a form that you just jump on the train, maintaining his long-range speed. So I think in this season, that's where I have hope that as long as Tua stays healthy, which starts with the offensive line, as well as Tua's ability to make sure he's making sound decisions, I think you'll see a bounce back here from Tyreek Hill because I still think he has a bunch of juice.
You talk about those O-line issues. Those aren't new in Miami. Over the last 5 seasons, they rank 31st in pass block win rate of 32 teams. But things that are new or newsy, top stories in garage, we got a few defensive stars at Trey Hendrickson.
Trey Hendrickson and the Bengals continue to have conversations, but they have not made much progress on a deal. The Bengals have offered him, as I have been told, a one-year extension, something similar to what Danielle Hunter got from Houston this offseason. Hendrickson looking for a little bit more. More long-term security, but at age 30, he's not someone the Bengals have been super eager to extend out for multiple years. T.J. Watt, also 30, 2 months older than Hendrickson. He's in the final year of his deal with Pittsburgh, looking at $21 million this year. He wants a new deal. The top of the edge rusher market has gone up around $40 million with Myles Garrett, so he is hoping to get that done. Last time T.J. Watt needed a new contract, it took until September 9th to get it done, right before the start of the season, so that could drag out. Micah Parsons in Dallas, likely to sign a contract that makes him the highest paid defensive player in the NFL. It has not been done yet. Per custom, the Cowboys may take a while to get this done, but he has had conversations ongoing with the team. Both sides believe they want to work out a deal and understand where it is likely to land. This is probably a matter of time. And then Terry McLaurin, wide receiver for the Washington Commanders. He wants a new contract, making about $19.5 million this year, the last year of his deal. We've got receivers making upwards of $35, close to $40 million. McLaurin believes he's earned a raise and has been away for a good chunk of the offseason program as a result. That is another deal that likely has to get worked out before training camp, or else Terry McLaurin might, not be there.
Man, the reigning offensive rookie of the year would love to see his wide receiver one have a more stable ground in D.C., figuring out how to keep those good vibes flowing in D.C. Could have chosen a lot of numbers to show you how good Jayden Daniels was in year one. This one stood out. Not one, not two, not three, 6 fourth quarter comeback wins last season, including the playoffs. That's the most by any rookie starting QB since 1950. And Daniels might not need so many comebacks with Deebo Samuel now in the huddle.
I'm excited. I'm excited to work with him more in training camp. Obviously, offseason was good, but now you just see what he's proven year in and year out, and I'm excited to throw him a little screen, and hopefully on the stat sheet it says a touchdown for 80 yards, and I didn't have to do any of the work. But I'm excited. He's a great person, great fit in the locker room, wide array. So we're gonna see hopefully a lot of touchdowns.
Mina, we know how diverse the looks were from Kyle Shanahan for Deebo at 37 rush attempts minimum each of the last 4 seasons. How do you see the Commanders trying to deploy him?
Well, I think Jayden Daniels kind of hit there when he was talking about the screens. The Commanders' offense was top 5 in just about every metric last year, but one where they were not was yards after the catch per reception. They were 21st. By God, that's Deebo Samuel's music. That is exactly what he's been brought into this offense to do. Cliff Kingsbury is a very good screen designer, and you can see him certainly taking advantage of that to get them yards after the catch. The other thing I'll add is I think his versatility is a really nice fit for this offense, which you alluded to. The Commanders' offense used a ton of no huddle last season. If you have a player like Deebo who can line up anywhere in the formation, who's basically a running back in a wide receiver's body and vice versa, it creates problems for defenses when they don't have time to sub out and you can hunt mismatches. So I loved this fit, and I think he brings an element to this offense that didn't exist last year.
Yeah, I mean, Cliff Kingsbury's offenses always have had a lot of throws sort of at or behind the line of scrimmage. Last year's Commanders really didn't, relative to what Cliff has done in the past. So they want to incorporate more of that. Deebo's a perfect player for that, as you mentioned. One underrated thing to keep an eye on here: the Commanders added Wes Welker, the former Patriots and Broncos receiver, to their coaching staff this offseason as an analyst. Wes Welker